Yo, what's going on, True Blazer fans? It's Torey, and it's been a little bit since I talked to you last. It's only been 4 or 5 days, but it feels like an eternity for me. Today, I'm bringing you guys a Monday mailbag on a Tuesday. Obviously, that wasn't the plan, but, you know, sometimes life throws you curveballs. So, I apologize for bringing a Monday mailbag on a Tuesday, but I'm still call it Monday mailbag because I want to give you guys something that you can look forward to each and every week on a specific day. So, I'm going to really make an effort to get these out every single Monday. Thank you guys for your questions. You guys had some really good ones this week, and I really look forward to answering them in a second. But first, we got to talk about the Twitters. As always, follow us at TrueBlazerFan and follow me personally at ToreyJonesYT. On my Twitter, you'll see that I just released a 2K19 draft class, full 60-player class. So if you play 2K, if you play My League and you're into that, make sure to check it out. And let's jump into your questions. Anime Jake says, a lot of Blazer fans say fire Stotts, but I can't think of a better coach available on the market right now. Can you? Yes, I can, and his name is Ettore Messina. He's a guy that coached overseas and then came over to the NBA, and for the past few seasons, he's been coaching under Greg Popovich, and I love anybody who's coached under Greg Popovich. Now, this Messina guy, I can tell values ball movement just hearing him in some of his interviews and some of his clinics. He knows how to coach different types of defense, and he knows that it's actually a valuable thing to be able to know how to play different types of defense so you can switch it up at a moment's notice. I also like Mike Budenholzer, and he was available this summer, but we're still sticking with Stotts. Budenholzer is, of course, another guy that coached under Greg Popovich, and yet another guy that coached under Greg Popovich who has some familiarity with the Portland area, who grew up here, Ime Udoka. I would really like to see what he could do with his own team. Seems like the type of guy that would coach a great defense, and because he's been coaching under Greg Popovich for the past few seasons, I definitely trust him to be able to orchestrate a very good offense. Basically, we just need more ball movement and player movement, and I really think anybody from the Spurs coaching tree could help bring that to our team. A guy from the college ranks that I really like is Jay Wright from Villanova. He turned that program into a powerhouse as they won 2 of the past 3 NCAA tournament championships. And Brad Stevens is the second best coach in the league, in my opinion, and he came from the college ranks, and that was a good hire. I think Jay Wright would have similar success to Brad Stevens and would really be a great coach. So, yeah, I honestly do think there are better coaches than Stotts out there, and that's just a few that I think could have more success than him. Skinny Guy says, do you think this rebuild was a good or bad idea, and what would you have been doing differently? I'm assuming he's talking about what happened after Aldridge, and I don't think they plan to make the playoffs as a 5th seed the year after losing LaMarcus Aldridge. I don't think it's a bad idea that we are continuing to make the playoffs, and we also won a first-round playoff series after losing LaMarcus Aldridge. I don't think that's a bad thing at all. I think we just made mistakes down the road where it's kind of hurt our situation now, where we could have been more prudent and let ourselves be more flexible in terms of roster creation, and we could have been able to make a lot of moves to make us better in this past offseason, and we weren't really able to do so. So I think the bad idea was the summer of 2016 when we handed out those contracts. Definitive One back with another question. He says, I've seen a lot of Blazer fans in the blow it up camp. I think if we could somehow add a #1 option, a guy would push Dame and CJ down the pecking order to the 2nd or 3rd options. We'd be right there with the upper echelon teams. Think guys like Kawhi, Paul George, obviously KD, etc. So in my honest opinion, we're not a horrible roster. We're a good roster that's missing its #1 option. What are your thoughts on this? First off, Dame's a #1 option on a contending team. You don't just make first-team All-NBA not being that good of a player. I think that people are looking too much into what happened in the playoffs when he was consistently double-teamed with the coaching staff, not really helping him out in terms of relieving the pressure. We're putting him off the ball. We're running more side pick and roll, which is harder to trap. Dame was elite for 82 games, so I'm gonna look more at that compared to what happened in those 4 games in that New Orleans series. Paul George is a worse offensive player than Damian Lillard, in my opinion, so I don't think Paul George would come here and be the #1 option over Dame. I also think CJ could be a 2nd option on a contending team if you had the perfect pieces around them. Of course, CJ would probably be best as a 3rd option behind a guy like Paul George or Kawhi Leonard, but if you give me Otto Porter Jr. and Draymond Green as our forwards, I honestly think we could contend. But yes, I do want to see what a guy like Paul George or Kawhi Leonard could do with this team. Just how good could we be? Could we contend with Golden State? Could we beat Houston in a 7-game series with guys like that? I honestly think we could. I've been hoping for that wing for a couple years, and we've missed out. So hopefully we're able to get them, because I honestly think that's the way to go. It's really hard to get to the spot where we got even through a rebuild, so people saying blow it up, I don't really understand it, because why not try to succeed with Damian Lillard? Why not try and contend with those teams? And then if all else fails and we can't really get any better and we can't reach that level, at least we tried, and then we can blow it up. We can always blow it up 3-4 seasons from now, because blowing it up would involve giving up on Dame, because Dame doesn't want to blow it up. Dame wants to win, and as he should, he wouldn't probably be up for a team blowing it up on purpose. So if we're going to give up Dame, why not just let him go in free agency and just start fully clean instead of trading him right now when he still wants to be here? Nikos Kodakris says, when the hurting contracts of Myers and Turner expire, who will be still on contract from this roster, and how much space will we have to sign a free agent? And finally, who will be the best free agent in that scenario? In the summer of 2020, you used to have Kevin Love, which was my top target, is a guy that was from Portland, but he ended up signing a contract extension with Cleveland. There's really nobody in that 2020 class that I think is a realistic target for us to sign. I think you need to look at role players in the mold of like Chris Middleton or Otto Porter Jr. Very, very good role players, but not necessarily the best free agent on the market. We'll still have Dame and CJ on contracts with 1 year left as they expire in 2021. We'll have Yusuf Nurkic with 2 years left on his deal. He'll be making around $12 million a year. So between those three guys, you're looking at $70 million combined in salary. You'd also have guys on rookie contracts: Gary Trent Jr., Anthony Simons, Zach Collins, Caleb Swanigan. So that's a solid 7 players making around $78 to $80 million a year. Assuming the cap is $150 million as it's projected to be, we'd have around $35 million in cap space if we didn't bring back Evan Turner or Mo Harkless or Myers Leonard or any of those guys. So we could definitely do something with that money, and hopefully those rookies can develop so we can have a pretty full rotation with them. You know, Anthony Simons, Gary Trent off the bench, Zach Collins and Yusuf Nurkic in the front court, and then our back court, of course. Hopefully all those guys can be rotation players so that we can actually use that cap space to go out and sign one very good player instead of having to split it up into filling rotation spots. The Brennanator says, number 1, who will lead in scoring off the bench? Number 2, if we traded Dame, who would you want in return? To answer your first question, I think Seth Curry will average around 12 to 13 points off the bench, and he'll definitely be our leading scorer in that second unit. He's just a pure shooter, but he can also score off the dribble and can also attack the rim. I think he's really being slept on from Blazer fans and from the national media. Number 2, if we traded Dame, who would I want in return? Nobody. I don't want to trade Dame, man. I don't even know who I'd want. Like, I assume we go the rebuild route, so I'd want picks. You know, I'd want multiple first round picks. And our final question comes from Commissioner Gordon. He says, great stuff. Quick question, how do you prevent the NBA from copyrighting the game clips? So we use game clips in almost every video, so that means we can't monetize our videos. Basically what the NBA does is they allow us to put the video on our channel and use the video, but they put ads on our video and they profit from it. So we're still able to use NBA highlights and put out great content for you guys, but we're not making any money from it. So for that reason, we're going to start putting advertisements at the beginning of our videos from local Portland businesses. We're looking at natural, homegrown, good, honest businesses, and we're not going to come here and advertise stuff that I don't think would be of great use to you guys. So we're going to start trying to advertise through that scenario, because we're allowed to put an advertisement within the actual video. They'll still probably put their advertisements at the beginning of the video through the YouTube system, but we'll be able to profit a little bit from advertisements that we're able to form with other businesses. And then hopefully you guys will actually be able to discover some businesses and some places that you really like and would actually be of help for you guys as well. As this is primarily a Portland audience, it makes sense to target Portland businesses, and that's what we're going to do to actually get a little bit of revenue so that we can pour a little bit more money into this in terms of maybe camera, in terms of setup. I need a new editing computer because my laptop doesn't let me play back my videos before I release them. It takes 2 to 3 hours to render videos sometimes, and sometimes in the middle of that my laptop overheats. So we're never going to be guys that are just kind of like lose focus and just want to only start making money. You know, we love doing this and we love putting out content for you guys, and you guys are a huge priority for us. It would be nice to kind of make a little bit of money off of doing this. Eric's a teacher and he's on strike right now because they don't get proper pay. So we're going to start doing Patreon and advertising and maybe even selling t-shirts down the road. I hope you guys have an amazing week ahead, and I will see you guys next Monday with another mailbag. Not Tuesday, I promise that. Make sure to subscribe to True Blazer Fan if you haven't already done so. And with all that being said, this has been Torey. Peace out, True Blazer fans. Go Blazers.